pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, call this meeting to order, and Ashley, will you please take roll? Brewer?
Yes.
Rush?
Yes.
Maddox?
Yes.
Worley? Yes. Juravich?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, and now we go to, okay, I've got mine. Okay, so, can I borrow this? Thank you. Okay, so now we have the approval of the agenda, and may I have a motion to approve and accept the agenda, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Ashley?
Brewer?
Yes.
Rush?
Yes.
Maddox?
Yes.
Juravich?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes. Okay, and on to action items from closed session. May I have a motion to approve the closed session minutes from August 23rd as presented or amended?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Ashley, please.
Rush?
Yes.
Maddox?
Yes.
Juravich?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Second item we have from closed session is a personnel-related matter in which I need to read the resolution. And it is as follows. Whereas the Board of Education has received reports from the superintendent regarding the performance of Cheryl Rivers, an administrative assistant in this district, and whereas it is the recommendation of the superintendent that Cheryl Rivers' employment should not continue beyond her probationary period, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education does hereby determine that the employment of Cheryl Rivers shall terminate as of September 27, 2018. The Board of Education hereby further authorizing and directing the President and Secretary to give Cheryl Rivers written notice of such termination. May I have a motion to accept this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Maddox?
Yes.
Juravich?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Rush?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes. Okay, now we have, I'm opening the budget hearing, and let's see, this is the budget hearing. This is where I should make the statement. Okay, here we go. The budget hearing begins, and I just wanted to say that the original budget that was posted on board docs was not the same as prior month's presentation. Board docs has been updated, and it has been corrected, and so this discussion now is that the budget is properly presented on board docs. So the hearing is open now, and with the corrected posting on board docs, there have been no modifications from last month's presentation to tonight. And I want to open this up to ask any board members or members of the community if they would like to ask some questions about the budget. Is there anyone in the hallway that would like to ask any questions about the budget?
Anybody in the hallway want to ask a question?
Okay.
No, thank you.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, well, I've now closed the budget hearing. Okay, so now we're on to agenda item 4.2, which is the approval of the fiscal year 2018-2019 2019 budget. And seeing as how there were no questions from board members or members of the community, I now present a motion to accept and approve the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget that will be submitted to ISBE. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jirash,
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Yurevich.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes. Okay, we're on to communications, agenda item 5.1. Dr. Wood, would you like to talk about this?
I would love to, but I think also Miss Berker,
Oh, good.
yeah, she
Good.
was here, so she wanted to talk
Great.
about it.
Thank you.
Good evening. I have 3 special pre-K teachers who are here this evening, and I'd like them to stand up for me. Monica Lee, Caitlin Meyer, and Morgan Skeppers. And I don't know how much you guys know about the pre-K program, but it is a state-funded program, which means we get a lot of money from the state. Not all of our money from the state, but a lot, which means there's a lot of parameters and requirements that we have to follow. And these teachers do a phenomenal job of following all of those requirements. And last year was an audit year, so it was a hard year. And they achieved gold status. So. We went into that audit knowing that they were gold before they achieved the status. But we were glad the state agreed, so congratulations.
And I just wanted to make a comment, ladies, it is no small feat. I know how it is working with the state, particularly in relation to grants. And so that had to have been an extremely thorough process that you went through. So thank you to Ms. Burke and to you as well for all your hard work. That's outstanding. Thank you.
I'm acting president, and I have had 0 experience doing this, and I see that I failed to read out the resolution regarding the 2018-2019 budget. So could we please go back to agenda item 4.2. I think I need to read this resolution based on years of attending meetings. Okay, so this is the resolution regarding the 2018-2019 budget. Whereas the Board of Education has received and reviewed the district's tentative budget for the 2018-2019 school year, and whereas such tentative budget has been prepared by the administration in accordance with Section 17.1 of the school code, and whereas the Secretary of the Board has made such tentative budget available for public inspection in the district's administrative offices beginning August 24th, 2018, and has published notice of the availability of such budget for public inspection. Now therefore be it resolved that a public hearing on such tentative budget and any amendments thereto shall be held at 6:30 p.m. on September 27th, 2018 at the district's administrative offices, 201 West Mulberry Street, Chatham, Illinois. So I need to revise the motion to read as follows. May I have a motion to approve this fiscal year 19 budget resolution?
I'll make that motion, Susan.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. So I think we should just call it again.
Okay. Brewer,
Yes.
Jirash,
Yes.
Yurevich.
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes. Okay. Now Randy.
Yes.
Welcome.
Can't believe you got me on the good news on the agenda. That's great. And thank you all for coming out to listen to my presentation. I appreciate it. It's very nice. I was asked by a board member recently what our staffing level was in security. It hasn't really changed much. We have 3 full-time SROs, one at the high school, middle school, and one that roves between the elementary schools. I have 2 SROs that are injured right now and off, so we do have 6 part-time. We've been able to keep everybody, all the schools covered for the most part. We've had a busy time so far with a couple of the schools in particular, so it's good to have all the staff that we've had around. I've got a few quick building updates. We're required to do our fire drills by the 30th of September every year for the fire department, and each time we do, we find equipment that doesn't work. So we are busily replacing sirens and horns and strobes that aren't working. Got a picture of a fire drill or fire pull station cover on the screen. We purchased one of these for GES and plan to get some more. GES administration has some really active children over there. We've been over there quite a bit lately, including the emergency services and the police. So this is a way to keep their fingers from accidentally setting the alarms off and having the police come out when they don't need to. So they were taking this step to mitigate some of the things going on. We did add a kitchen access pad at Ball for the kitchen staff to enter. We put some new cameras in at Ball also, especially out on the playground. GIS was kind of left out of the camera process when I upgraded the high school, so they recently got 17 cameras. Eric is enjoying those and working hard to keep track of what the kids are up to and what they're doing. So that's going well. Middle school, we're going to upgrade our intercom system, and we hired a security monitor finally. That was one of the positions that we were trying to fill with SROs. So we do have a new employee over there to greet everybody at the front door when they come in. At the high school, with the new addition, we were requiring the faculty to come into the west faculty entrance. We took their exterior door keys away, make them use their access cards. And to make it easier for them, we put another access pad entrance on the new addition for them before school started. We also have a new kiosk at the front door for our law enforcement officers to use. This includes a sign-in and sign-out station for our students when they leave the building on Chromebooks. And we've also numbered the student parking spaces at the high school this year. I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute. If you can see on this picture next to JR here on the end of the kiosk, there are 2 Chromebooks there. So the kids come up and sign themselves in and out. There's a drop-down menu of where they're going, whether it's a work assignment or home for the day or a doctor visit, wherever. So we can kind of keep better track of where they're at and what they're doing. And we used to have them sign out on a piece of paper, so we're trying to get into the 21st century and use our technology that we have. As for the parking lot, the reason we did this was to give us an idea of who's in the lot and where, and if they're in the right spot where they're supposed to be. We have a lot of arguing about who's going to park close to the school, who's not. When I have the dogs come in, it's much easier to account for whose car it is because the decal on the window matches the parking spot number. Hasn't been a whole lot of grumbling about it. We'll let the seniors have the first picks. They've got the 200 to 300 closest spots at the building. And next year we'll probably do some online registration for the parents to make this a little bit smoother, but this year we did it all ourselves just to get a handle on it. Illinois had its share of school threats, especially after the incident in Parkland. Pretty much from February through May, there was 191 incidents in Illinois. The 2 busiest months were February and May. February, of course, is when it occurred in May. We haven't had a whole lot of issues here in Chatham. Most of the problems have been in Chicago and the southern part of the state. But the Secret Service did a survey, and nationally, about a third of the parents are afraid for their kids at schools. No matter what we're doing, they're concerned and scared. And 72% are not convinced that the school security is what it should be. Whether that's something we're not doing or something that they think we should be doing more or we should be spending more money. That's a national survey. That's not Chatham, but that's a national survey. So, and as I indicated, it's hard to change the entrances to the buildings, but we can work on what happens once people and kids get into the schools. We're exploring actually I'm ready. We're exploring a visitor management system. This is something I've been talking about for a couple of years. I wanted to get the kiosk at the high school done first before I spend any more money. I'm trying to kind of portion of the stuff out that I'm doing and what I'm buying. But this will be a way for us to use visitors' driver's licenses, anything with the barcode, to scan them when they come into the schools to see if they're on the sex offender registry. It'll give us a record of who's coming and going, and it's another way for students to sign in and out. We will introduce this in all 6 of the schools, and I'll be advising Dr. Wood in the near future what it's going to cost. It's not going to be cheap, but I think it's worth it. Something occurred that I addressed the admin with earlier this week that I didn't have time to put on the slide, so it's not up here. The Surgeon General reports there's a 900% increase in vaping with our students, and we are fighting the vaping thing at the high school and the middle school. Never-ending fight. So it looks like the FDA has agreed through some funding they got from the tobacco industry to put pictures of damaged lungs and warnings about vaping on all the social media sites that the kids use. That's the first thing they're going to do. The second thing, which is really interesting, they've agreed to provide posters for 10,000 high schools throughout the nation to be placed in student restrooms. So that's where the vaping's going on. We had a couple kids actually walking down the hall vaping, caught in the classroom, but most of it's in the restrooms. And there's 4 of us at the high school during the day with numerous toilets, so it's impossible to keep track of what they're doing and what they're not doing. We do watch on the video and the cameras to see where they're at, but by the time we get there, it's over. So that will start, I think, later this fall. Also, the FDA is working with the tobacco industry to eliminate the flavored nicotine. The kids are enjoying all the fruity flavors, and they don't really understand what they're doing to their health. So that's also coming. This was interesting. I included this because this is going on in Chicago. There's a group of people that are called First Amendment auditors, and they come to school grounds to do filming. The reason is they want to instigate and antagonize the school administration, the security staff, and the police into some sort of a Fourth Amendment provocation or a bad arrest. They used to do this near other buildings. They're picking schools now for some reason. I don't know why. But obviously, this will always be a concern for us. And for me, if somebody's on the property filming, we don't allow that now. We make the media stand across the street when they come. So this is nothing here yet in southern Illinois, but it is occurring in different parts of the country. We have introduced a new procedure. It's a new tactic for lockdowns. This is not to replace lockdowns, so what we've taught the teachers and the kids about lockdowns will remain, but we have something new. It's called ADD. It stands for Avoid, Deny, Defend. It's also known as Run, Hide, Fight, Evade, Shelter, Barricade. All the words are similar in meaning. And basically what it is, if the teacher feels that he or she can get out of the building with their students in an emergency, they have our permission to do it. We're not telling them they have to, and we will still lock down when we think we should. But if you know where the problem is, you think you can get out, then we're telling the teachers to get out. Of course, there's a liability concern with that, because if you leave the school, you're responsible for your students, just like you would be in the classroom. But we introduced this before school ended, and we got the last school on board this year, which was the middle school. I'm sure nobody knows what that is. Very attractive. This is something relatively new, and it is here in Illinois. It's called the Momo Challenge. Go ahead. It's a form of cyberbullying that's being used through social media and cell phones. You can use it through the next slide, actually. Sorry. Teens are encouraged to contact Momo via their social media apps, and they receive very violent and graphic images on their texts. If the students decide they want to quit and they don't want to do this anymore, the people in the Momo Challenge threaten to out them, let people know what they're doing, what they've been looking at, and they eventually encourage kids to kill themselves. That's how stupid this is. It's WhatsApp, YouTube, and Facebook are the primary networks. So if you see any Momo stuff in your school or with your kids, you need to address it immediately, because it is serious. It's not just high school kids, unfortunately. It's the middle school kids also, that age group. So, very strange. Another thing that happened today, last year we had we had a lockdown drill during a passing period, and those are hard. When the kids are out of the rooms in the hallways, cafeteria somewhere, and we do a lockdown, it's tough because it's all about accountability and determining where the kids are at. It was successful, and we decided to try one today at the middle school. We'd never tried one there before, and with that age group, I didn't know what to expect. And I have to admit it worked very well. We had kids run into classrooms they could get into. A lot of them went into the restrooms, hid in the stalls, so they are listening to what we're preaching and telling them they know what they're supposed to do. I put this up here at the end because even though we've had some challenges this year, we've had a couple quick tips that we resolved immediately, one that we didn't resolve when we ended up having to evacuate the high school because of a bomb threat. But regardless of all that, we still got great kids in a good school district. This is what they did at the high school September 11th in the parking lot. So it's just an example of the fact that things are still not that bad. Still very proud of them. Any questions?
Randy, I'd like to just comment. I think I would speak for everybody in this room in regards to school safety. Randy and his team, what they do on a daily basis in our elementaries, our intermediate, middle school, and high school is just outstanding. I mean, so much so that it really is one of the gold standards. Many districts are coming to our district to come to work with Randy and our staff in regards to school safety and security. And it's one of those behind-the-scene things that I don't think that even the media really knows and understands enough about. But it's just, it's tremendous. Having a child in the school district, I know we certainly feel safe. And I want to just thank you for all the work that you and your team have done. Truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Randy. The next agenda item is an opportunity for visitors to address the school board concerning any agenda topic. This agenda item permits anyone to talk for about 3 to 5 minutes on an agenda item, but at the end of the meeting, there is an opportunity for visitors to address the school board on any topic. So is there anyone who would like to come forth? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move on to the next agenda item number 6. And are there any board members who would like to pull agenda items under the consent agenda? Hearing none, may I have a motion to accept the consent agenda items as presented, please?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Brewer,
Yes.
Biraj,
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Yurevich.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes. Okay, moving on to personnel consent items. Are there any board members who would like to pull any item under personnel consent items 7-1 through 743? Okay, hearing none, then may I have a motion to approve personnel consent items?
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Maddox.
Yes.
Yurevich.
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Biraj.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so we're now on to agenda item 8.1, fiscal year audit presentation. Good evening, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Alright, I have the copies here. Just maybe want to pass those down. That would be wonderful, thank you. And these are the comment letters. This is down also. Hi. Alright, and then those are the extra copies. Okay. Where do you want me at? Over here at the podium? Okay.
Excuse me, could you introduce your
Absolutely.
name so that it can be appropriate in the minutes? Thank you. Okay, welcome.
Hello, Tanya Mack with Mack and Associates. This is our second year doing the audit for the
Right.
district. You all have a copy of the audit there in front of you.
Right.
So I will go through, the first couple pages are our audit report, which basically states that you're reporting on a regulatory basis, which is accepted by ISBE, and we have an unmodified opinion on that basis. So no issues with the audit, no findings in the audit report. On page 4 and 5, this is your balance sheet, which shows your cash on hand at your end. This does include your agency funds. So total cash on hand for your end is $29.7 million. Capital assets, and this does include your general fixed assets as well as your general long-term debt to be provided for. So your total assets come out to $217.9 million. Total liabilities at your end of just over $50 million, down from last year at $52.6, for a net fund balance of $167.9 million. Do want to point out that $139.2 of that is in capital assets. So you have $26.3 in unreserved fund balance and $2.4 million in reserved fund balances. Next pages 6 and 7, break out the total comparisons here for revenues, and I'll just go through those last two columns so you can see total local revenues. Last year we're at $35.8 million, this year at $38.5 million. State sources were up from 8.3 last year to 10.4 this year, and federal dollars were up slightly from 2.2 million last year up to 2.3 million this year. The on behalf payments there, you see a significant decrease in that. So last year that was at 7.3 million, this year at 2 million. The decrease there is, this is the on behalf payments that the state of Illinois is required to contribute to TRS on behalf of the district. Last year that percent for TRS was 38.54%. This year that percent is 10.10%. So a significant decrease there. That does show both in the revenue and expenditure section. No true dollars go in and out of the district for those line items. Expenditures, you can see total expenditures for direct disbursements. We're at $45.4 million compared to $44.1 million last year. And then again, those on behalf payments were underneath there. So the total increase in fund balance here of $5.9 million increase to fund balance, bringing that end of the year fund balance up to $28.7 million. The next two pages are the revenue, the next 4 pages are the revenues broken out by line item within those local, state, and federal dollars. I'm not going to go line by line through those unless anyone has any questions. Feel free to stop me. And then on page 12, this starts your expenditures for your educational fund. So these are broken down by function as well as line by line within each program. So you can see the original, the final budget, the actual for the year, the variance between budget, and then last year's numbers as well to give good comparisons here for you. I'm going to jump back a few pages just to hit the total here for the educational fund on page 19. Total expenditures for the year were at $32.7 million, which is up from $31.7 million last year, and down from your budget of $34.2. So you were under budget by about $1.5 million here in this fund. On page 20 is your operations and maintenance fund. Total expenditures here of $3.8 million, which is up from last year's $3.5, but down from the budget of $4.4 million. Page 21 is your debt service funds. Total expenditures here of $5,073,000 compared to last year $4,976,000, and matched exactly with your budget. And this is basically just set by your debt service requirements. So those are set for you for the next several years. On page 22 is your transportation fund. Total expenditures here of $2,044,000, up from $1.8 million last year. Total expenditures were comparative to your budget, we're under budget by $82,000. Page 23 is your municipal retirement and social security funds. Total expenditures here of $1,443,000 compared to $1,454,000 last year, and you can see you were under budget by $120,000 in this fund. Page 24, total expenditures of $258,000 compared to $523,000 last year, and you were on target with your budget. Page 25 is your fire prevention and safety funds. Total expenditures here of $121,000, right on target with your budget, and up slightly from last year of $109,000. The next few pages start your footnotes. Just a few pages in here I'll point out to you. I'm not really going to go through these in total, but on page 34 is just a summary of your general fixed assets, so you can see where those numbers are coming from. And then on page 35 is a summary of your long-term debt obligations. So you can see beginning year balances, you had no increases in debt this year. You did have decreases with the payoffs of debt. Your principal outstanding at year end of $48.9 million, and then what's due in the upcoming fiscal year. And then the next several pages you detail out by the bond requirements for each bond issuance. On page 7, this is just any contracts, commitments, and contingencies that are outstanding. So your teachers' contracts that were payable at June 30th to be paid in July and August of just under $1.8 million. You had compensated absences outstanding there, and then your lease obligations are broken down there as well. Page 45 continues any contractual agreements there. Page 46 starts your TRS, THIS, and IMRF footnote, which is very lengthy, but is a good footnote to take a look at because it does give you information on the plans as well as membership data, so you can see that as well. I'm going to jump back now to page 57, and this gives your fund balance presentation. So you can see on the last two columns, the regulatory basis, that unreserved $26.3 million that shows on your front statements how that's made up, and then your reserved fund balance of $2.4 million, how that's made up. And does also show you those first 5 columns are on the generally accepted accounting principles, where those would fall into either restricted, committed, assigned, or unassigned balances as well. The next few pages of other information, starting on page 61, are just additional TRS and IMRF schedules. I'm not going to go through those unless, like I said, anyone has any questions, feel free to stop me. On page 65, start your agency funds. At year end, total assets in your agency funds were $676,000, and these are then broken out by the 2 elementary schools on page 65. Page 66 is then Glenwood Elementary and Glenwood Intermediate. Page 67 is your middle school, and then page 68 and 69 is the high school. And then you have your district office and transportation office there on page 70. On page 71 shows your tax assessments, rates, and extensions for the past 3 years. You see we have had a climb in assessed valuation over the past 2 years. Tax rates have remained right around that $4.4 dollar amount there. So basically 4.4 cents per $100 of assessed valuation is how that's calculated. Bringing in total tax revenues this year of $32.8 million and anticipated for next year of $34 million. The next few pages are other reports that we have to include for the government auditing standards. And then starting on page 74 is your single audit requirements. So anytime you expend more than $750,000 in federal awards, you do have to have what they call a single audit, which is basically auditing those federal awards, making sure you're spending those properly in accordance with statute and state guidelines. So that is that entire section there. And that basically is the audit report. So I know I threw a lot at you quickly, but I know you have a big agenda today. So if you have any questions though for me, feel free to ask. The audit went really smoothly again this year. I feel like you've really put a lot of steps in place with the personnel you have here on staff. We don't have many journal entries, we don't have many issues when we come out to audit, which is definitely a good thing to see. There's other districts where we have a significant amount of journal entries, and here they're minimal, if any. So that's really a good thing to see with a district this size.
Great. Does anyone have any questions before? Would you like to make a comment? The presentation, completion of the audit, I would say something too.
Yeah, no, this is one of the, I will say, as coming in as superintendent, there are a variety of different things you contend with. The budget, the processes we have in place often dictate a lot of what we can do. And the team that we have, Charlotte, as a matter of fact, is not feeling well right now. She couldn't be there this evening. Really wanted to.
She did email me to let me know she was really sorry she wasn't going to be here.
But you also have Ashley Fiorito.
Yes.
You have Mindy, Jennifer. We really have a tremendous staff that has worked well with our schools, with our administration, with our teachers. We've really put into practice the philosophy of, we want to certainly provide what we can, but we also want to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible, and more so making sure we have our processes in place. That tends to be one of the issues that was problematic for some time. It's also, the economy's had an impact. We certainly have seen some growth in EAB, and hopefully we'll continue to do so. But I must say, I just wanted to give kudos where kudos is due. And Board of Education that supports that. We have teachers and staff that, certainly when they do planning and purchases and things like that, are cognizant of what we're attempting to do. And again, going back to our finance department, who's just done a tremendous job. I know we came in here, there were significant audit findings. And I believe we got a big egg there now. We're down to zero.
Yeah, really. I mean, you have the separate letter, and that's just basically giving you your OPEB requirements. But again, that's so.
The best sentence is there are no findings.
There's no
of
findings.
This year.
No. So that's really a positive thing definitely for a district this size, and with what you have running through this district office and the multiple buildings. That's definitely a positive thing, and I know they've got their work cut out for them ahead of time, this upcoming year with the new GATA requirements and the evidence-based funding with the different buildings. So, they definitely have their work cut out from this upcoming year as well, because the state has put down a lot of changes this upcoming year.
It is, and the evidence-based funding is also, as you say, is going to have significant impact. I think it's also important to note that depending on how aware you are of finances within the state, when you look at adequacy, for example, according to all the facts and figures, we're funded at 70% adequacy. It would be wonderful if we could get those revenues to cover that 30%. Just imagine what could be done then. But in the meantime, we're going to do all that we can to make sure that we can be fiscally responsible and provide some of those things. So we're excited about that.
Okay, momentarily, I'm taking off my hat as acting president, because the president, is very neutral, and I'm going to put my hat on as chair of the finance committee meeting. And if I didn't have such a formal role tonight, I would be standing up and clapping, because for 8 years I have been studying and looking at the district's numbers, and this is a tremendous feat that the auditors have said, you guys, you're doing fine, you're doing great, your processes are fine. And so in that regard, I would like to say to thank you to all of you, because you need to have roll-up of good numbers to get to the point where the finance department can put the accounting schedules together. So it is a team effort. Oh, it is a big team effort. And to me, it's one of the best things that has happened sitting as a board member for 6 years. So thank you to all of you. And I'm sorry Charlotte isn't here, but she would say the same thing. Thank you to all of you for your help. And thank you, Tanya, too.
Yeah, and I do want to point out, we audit, I believe now it's 24 school districts and cooperatives and sectors. It's definitely a positive thing to not have findings because it's rare to not have at least, something that's come up during the audit. So, just so you are aware that's not a common thing to not have a finding. So that definitely is a positive thing on the district.
And, perfection, maintaining perfection for 20 years is very hard. So, but this year indicates that, okay, we've attained that standard that is accountants expect and that the industry expects within the school, within the education industry. So thank you all. Okay, may I have thank you very much, Tanya. Okay. May I have a motion then to approve the fiscal year audit?
I'll make that motion, Susan.
Thank you. Second. Thank you. Ashley?
Rush,
Yes.
Jurevich,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes. Okay, Mike, agenda item 8.2. Is Mike Dobbs here?
Here.
Oh, great, all right. I was looking at,
You lost a little weight.
Good evening. As most of you know, the boilers at Chatham Elementary need to be replaced. So we went out and got bids. We had a bid meeting, had 3 contractors show up for pre-bid, had 2 contractors show up on bid day. The most responsive bidder was E.L. Pruitt at $51,486. It's a pretty good price to replace the 2 boilers. Actually, we're going to take 2 boilers out, put 1 back in. So we feel that that's a pretty good price. So the majority of the work all of the work actually will be done nights and weekends. We anticipate start on October 4th and completion no later than October 15th. So we're here to seek approval to award this contract to E.L. Pruitt.
okay,
So moved.
Second.
thank you.
Brewer,
Yes.
Rush,
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Jurevich,
Yes.
Worley.
Yes. Okay, 8.3 enrollment report.
Enrollment, we do. This is important to have each year, although it's not a requirement by the state anymore. For many years, they had a 6-day requirement. But I think it's important to use that as a continued barometer of our growth as a district. Yes, I do like colors, so I incorporate that into my graphs and charts. And what I like to do is show the 10-year projection of what we've had. Over the 10-year period, we've grown 402 students overall in the past 10 years. That's FY10 through FY19. I look at cohort and trend, grade trend. So we look at cohorts. We often looked at grade trend, but that's not really the best barometer. It's important to look at cohort trend to see the students that began with us years ago to see if they continue to stay with us. And we are pretty consistent. We actually have quite a bit of growth through the years. We don't have all the data there because not all the students have been here for a long period of time, but it'll show. One interesting factor was when we began our residency check. This has been a process that we began FY17, and as you can see, it's interesting because the first time we incorporated that, we saw a decrease of 47 students in our district. Although that year we had 243 new families to our school district. So that was interesting. Then you follow up the next year, and we had a modified residency check, and we jumped up 68 students. Now, does it mean that some of them were not following necessarily the residency and only the grade levels that we checked? I think, some might say that. So we came back this year. We said we're going to do it again. So we hit each grade level. We had an increase of 7 students. So as you can see, when we do have those full residency checks, we tend to have a little bit of a decrease, but it is a stabilizing number for us. We are growing districts. A growing district. We're looking at how that growth is going to impact us 5, 10, 15 years down the road. And how it's going to not only impact the schools, but the grade levels, because we have to make adjustments accordingly to make sure that we're cognizant of that. Our grand total, not only do we have students that attend our schools, we also have off-site students. And when you see off-site, oftentimes that is special programming that we have. Not only are we a desirable district as a result of the general education that we provide our students, we're also a desirable district for students that might have challenges and special programming what we provide for them. Just in the last 3 years, we've seen that increase from 22 to 28 to 38. And it's given us a grand total of 4,854 students when you look at the totality. If you look at pre-K, our pre-K program has also grown fairly significantly as well. And a lot of that's due to the reputation that has been developed as a result of what you're doing. 16, it was 93, then 95, 96, and we had a pretty big bump this past year with 127 students. There are some anomalies. When you look at the numbers, you might see a fluctuation. You might see a particular grade level jump 30 students. You might see another grade level decline 28 students. But it just so happens that it's not uncharacteristic for enrollments to fluctuate like that. But at the end of the day, just a short time ago, we were at 4273, and now we're at 4689. And we anticipate to continue to grow. Some of that is going to be seen in some of the city development that we see in Chatham and Springfield. We're seeing plat surveys, which is projected to show that we're going to see continued growth of building of houses and subdivisions. So you'll see this continue to grow in the coming years, and we're going to make adjustments accordingly. Some people have asked, does that mean a new school? Or perhaps that will in the future. But we're going to have to see where those numbers take us. There is some projecting that goes on with enrollment. But as you can see, as we've begun our residency checks on a more regular basis, it's helped stabilize and slow down some of those numbers. Because part of that is also not just giving us a number to work with, it also shows our community that we are being responsible with the tax dollars that they provide us to educate the children. It's not that we don't want students attending our schools, but we want those students attending our schools who live within our districts. And so we'll continue those residency checks, and we anticipate to see continued growth.
Okay, thank you. That's an information-only item, so we now move to agenda item 8.4. Ashley?
I'm bringing a guest.
Okay.
I have Stan, who is travel set. He is our one of our brokers from American Central Insurance, so he's come to answer any questions. We did sit down, our brokers, myself, and then the insurance committee sat down on the 18th and looked at the bids that we received. And would you open that for me, please, Ashley?
Which one?
The recommended plan for, we'll start with health. We sat down and looked at the different bids that we received from different providers. First of all, we'll start with health, then we'll move into some of the other providers. This particular one, as you see on this sheet, you see the current rates for Blue Cross Blue Shield. You see the renewal rates. That's what Blue Cross Blue Shield came back to us with our increases for this year. And then you'll see the Health Alliance rates. This one specifically is for the PPO plan. Would you move over to the and then there's also the HSA as well as the HMO plans. So there are 3 different plans, which is the same as what we've offered in the past. We've offered a PPO, an HMO, and an HSA plan. Would you go back to the PPO for me? One of the things that the insurance committee looked at was the responses from the benefits survey that HR had sent out. In that survey, there were 35% of the respondents said that they needed a lower cost in some capacity for their coverage. The board covers, aside from the HMO plan, aside from the Blue Cross Blue Shield HMO plan currently, all but $8 on that plan, so 100% of the employee-only tier is covered. Health Alliance came back with this quote. I know it's really hard to see, but that employee plus children column from Health Alliance is $779 a month with the current board dollar contribution of $625. That would make the employee plus children plan for Ball-Chatham employee $154 per month. So about $77 a pay period, which is a really good rate for an employee plus children plan just in the market in general. I give that one as an example. So the insurance committee voted on that, and then the insurance committee's recommendation for health insurance plans was to go with Health Alliance. Would you go to dental or vision? So the dental cost analysis, and I apologize, I'm trying very hard to see these numbers, but they are super small for me, so I'm going to flip to my sheet.
Okay, is that better?
What? Thank you so much. So we currently have MetLife for our dental insurance. We got several quotes back. As you see on here, we've got MetLife's current rates and then their negotiated renewal rates and Guardian's proposed renewal rates. Guardian offered us a renewal rate remaining at the same as what we currently have, and that is for 1 year. They also have, what's the difference that we see in these plans is that Guardian has a rollover amount, which you'll see under that middle section there, the rollover threshold. If you don't use all of your plan dollars and you're getting your basic cleanings and things like that, you can roll some funds into the next year. So that $1,250 on there that you see with MetLife, you're not always going to be stuck with that $1,250. If you don't use all your money, you'll be able to roll some over to the next year. So you can apply more money to more dental services. Another benefit of this plan is that you get crowns and bridges within 5 years rather than within 10 years as what we see with MetLife. So more major dental services are covered on a more quickly basis. They also have some random tie-in, which I can let Stan speak to you guys more about. But they also give a tuition for, you can apply it to your children. It's $2,000 if you're enrolled in the plan that they just give you. You can apply it to your children, you can apply it to your niece or nephew or somebody like that. It's a pretty new thing that they're rolling out, so if you guys have questions on that, I'm going to defer to him to speak to that because it's not very common for a dental plan. So the insurance committee's vote was to go with Guardian for the dental benefit. Everybody that came back and quoted on this really gave pretty much the same plan design, but Guardian did have that benefit of the reduced time frame for those 2 major services as well as that rollover. Yep, go ahead. Next is vision. We currently have Sun Life for vision. As you see, current, negotiated, and recommended. Guardian is the recommended one. The renewal amounts are the same. Guardians gave us a 2-year rate guarantee versus Sun Life. There was a just the 1-year guarantee on Sun Life. And then is this one employer? Yep. Employer-sponsored life and AD&D. This one is a cost that the board pays for our employees on behalf of the employees. Guardian came in at a lower rate on this than Sun Life's renewal was, and they also increased the guarantee issue from $300,000 to $365,000. And that is with a 2-year rate guarantee, whereas Sun Life provided a 1-year rate guarantee. Short-term disability. Would you go back one? Would you go to voluntary life for me, please? Is it up there? That's all right. If it's not up there, I'll move on.
Oh, you know where it's at? Yes.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Thank you, that's okay. For voluntary life and AD&D, Guardian provided the same as Sun Life and same renewal rate as Sun Life provided, but they did offer a 2-year rate guarantee. Dependents are eligible on the Guardian plan up to 26, whereas with Sun Life it is dependents are 19 and then full-time college students are 25, so there was a benefit in that regard as well. Okay, we'll go to the next one. And then short-term disability. We currently have short-term disability with Sun Life. Sun Life's renewal was a 9.12% increase. Guardian's is a 6.56% decrease, which you will see on there. Their rate guarantee is for a 2-year rate guarantee as well. So the insurance committee selected Guardian for short-term disability as well. That's the recommended plan. You guys have any questions for myself or for Stan?
How does that tuition benefit work?
What Guardian has done, and it's taken them a couple of years to get this up and established, they have contacted colleges primarily that would be interested in becoming, kind of like if you think of it as a doctor, a preferred provider. And we've got a list of those colleges that have signed up, to participate, like I think Eureka College was one.
Yeah, McMurray, Millikan, Benedictine, but the one here closed. So
Are there any state schools?
There are not at this time. And I don't know if that's something in the funding process that maybe a private school doesn't have to adhere to as much. Their objective, though, is to grow that. This is really kind of a brand new thing. But if that college is acceptable to the young person, it's pretty neat to get that kind of assistance and support in addition to whatever scholarships they may earn.
Yeah, $2,000's a nice little bonus.
Yeah.
And my understanding was it's per year, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so I mean, you could get that, it's not just a one-time, you could get that every year that they're there.
Okay, then I would like to make, I am requesting a motion to approve the 2018-2019 insurance plans as presented below, and that includes health, dental, voluntary life, correct? Well, that's part of life. Life and short-term disability. And the changes and recommendations are outlined in the agenda item details. May I have a motion?
So moved as presented.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Ashley?
Yurevich.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes.
Durush.
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes. Okay, agenda item 8.5 is the first reading of the policies from June 2018 press, and this is the first reading only. The second reading is when the board actually approves the policy changes, and this is an information-only item. Okay, then we move to agenda item 8.6, board election information. Okay, this is a statement of the, I'm going to say this rather loosely, rules and regulations on how the board is divided up into townships and votes, and how board members can submit their candidacy based on what the current board representation is. And if I am understanding this correctly, is this going in the Chatham Clarion?
It's been in there.
It has been
Yeah,
in there.
About a week and a half.
Yeah, okay. So, actually, the circulation period has already begun, and thank you very much for letting us. I think it's very good to advertise these opportunities to serve publicly, and the Board of Education is one such opportunity. So then we move on to agenda item 9.1, future board meeting dates. And this is information only, and we have the October general board meeting, this curriculum and instruction meeting is November 8th. That's a special board meeting. November 16th through 18th is the Triple I conference, and then November 29th is a regular board meeting. And that's information only.
Just, on that, I have a CACC meeting in October that I cannot make. I mentioned it to Steve before. I think
Okay.
he was going to take it for me, but just have that one on the, I think it's the 18th.
Okay. October 18th is the CACC meeting. Okay. We'll just double check to make sure Steve's doing that. Okay, so we are now at agenda item 9.2, citizens, opportunity for visitors to address the school board concerning any topic. And we request that the person come forward and introduce him or herself and make statements or comments that they would like, and we ask that you be respectful of around 5 minutes for your presentation. So is there anyone in the room that would like to make a statement? Okay. Hi, Carrie.
Hi. Good evening. My name is Carrie Kath, and I'm the president of the BCA. I am speaking on behalf of the membership. First, I'd like to say thank you for your response to the BCA. Our teachers are here to support our students. Tonight, we are seeking to understand what steps, if any, you're taking to address these issues we have sent you. The issues are, and I'd like for any BCA member to stand if they have a student who is affected by this when I read the question that pertains to you. Whose student's quality of education has been negatively impacted by overwhelming class sizes? Thank you. Please be seated. Whose student's quality of education has been negatively impacted by inconsistent and unbalanced expectations? Thank you. Please be seated. Whose student's quality of education has been negatively impacted due to lack of substitute teachers? Thank you. Please be seated. And whose student's quality of education has been negatively impacted by transportation and conflicts? Thank you. Please be seated. We look forward to our next meeting with the Board of Education and quick resolutions for our concerns. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Anyone in the hallway?
Anyone in the hallway to speak?
Okay. Thank you, and at this time, we may adjourn the meeting. Thank you for coming. May I have a motion? Okay, great. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.